Welcome back to Viral Vault. Tonight, we're venturing deep into folk horror, where rituals hide dark secrets. Forests swallow the unsuspecting, and faith itself can become terrifying. Every story is rooted in tradition, superstition, and human obsession, each more haunting than the last. So tell me, do you dare step into villages, woods, and cults, where every shadow might be alive, yet? Number 1. The Witch 2015. Imagine a world where faith itself becomes terror. This is folk horror distilled to its darkest essence. Live? Get. Robert Eggers guides us through 1630s New England with unnerving precision. Anya Taylor-Joy's Thomason is caught between rigid Puritan beliefs and a lurking, malevolent force. The tension is suffocating. Every shadow, every whispered prayer, feels alive. Cinematography and sound combine to create a slow, creeping dread. It seeps under your skin. For me, this is a strong 8 out of 10. A folk horror that lingers long after the credits roll. Watch it late, with the wind howling outside. Up next, Japanese terror that chills the soul. Number 2. Onibaba 1964. Desperation, survival, and masks hiding nightmares, folk horror at its finest. Kaneto Shindo's Onibaba immerses you in feudal Japan, where war-torn marshes become a crucible of terror. Hideko Takamine's character struggles with survival, desire, and moral decay. Every act of cruelty amplifies dread. The haunting demon mask is iconic, its presence unavoidable. Wind, reeds, and sudden shrieks craft an auditory nightmare. Your imagination fills in the terrifying gaps. This is methodical horror where human nature itself terrifies. I'd rate it 9 out of 10. An unsettling folk horror that lingers, staining your thoughts. Brace yourself. Next, a classic Scottish ritual with consequences you won't forget. Number 3. The Wicker Man 1973. Step into pagan rites. Belief and sacrifice collide in folk horror. Robin Hardy directs this cult classic with Edward Woodward as Sergeant Howie. He discovers a remote Scottish island where cheerful dances mask sinister rituals. The tension builds gradually, folklore is suffocating, music hiding doom. Every frame is meticulously composed, the ending shocks and lingers. The film's hypnotic pacing and eerie atmosphere keep you tense throughout. I'd slot this at 8.5 out of 10, a folk horror essential. Be prepared for chants, rituals, and an ending that haunts your dreams. Next, the woods hide terror in every shadow. Number 4. The Blair Witch Project 1999. Lost in the forest, unseen horrors surround you. Folk horror at its purest? Daniel Myrick and Eduardo Sanchez redefine fear with Heather Donahue and her companions. Every snapped twig, distant scream, and whispered panic intensifies the paranoia. The forest is alive, cruel, and utterly unpredictable. It becomes a character in itself. The found footage style blurs reality and fiction, making the terror more personal. The unknown, invisible threat feeds imagination. Tension builds until every shadow feels like death approaching. For me, this is a tense 7.5 out of 10. A folk horror that feels disturbingly real. Watch when the lights are off, and the forest seems to breathe around you. Next, Nordic forests conceal a monstrous secret. Number 5. The Ritual 2017. A hiking trip turns into nightmare. Nordic folk horror awaits.
Oh my God! What the fuck is that?
David Bruckner directs this modern folk horror with Rafe Spall leading a group of friends. Grief, guilt, and a monstrous forest creature converge in a chilling narrative. Misty woods, looming trees, and an unstoppable entity make the atmosphere suffocating. Psychological trauma and physical horror intertwine. Scandinavian lore amplifies tension. I'd call it a solid 7 out of 10, a modern folk horror worth watching. If the woods ever seem too quiet, perhaps that's when you should run. Coming up, children with deadly intentions stalk their prey. Number 6. Children of the Corn 1984. Innocence hides malevolence, endless cornfields conceal a deadly god. Fritz Kirsch's cult classic follows Peter Horton and Linda Hamilton stumbling into a town ruled by children. The eeriness isn't flashy, it's creeping. Relentless dread. Corn stalks sway like silent sentinels. Every child's gaze carries threat. Blood and terror punctuate the slow psychological tension. It's both charming and unsettling. An iconic tale of youthful evil worshipping sinister gods. I'd rate it 6.5 out of 10. A folk horror that thrives on its peculiar premise. Think crops are safe? Think again. Next, a town with rules you'd never dare break. Number 7. Population 436-2006. A town with rules, fear of faith, control, and compliance. Mark Ilsley's eerie tale traps Patrick Pfluger in a village dominated by ritualistic laws. No gore, just existential dread. Conformity becomes terrifying. Every choice feels constrained, every ritual oppressive. Isolation, suspense, and human folly blend seamlessly into a folk horror that creeps beneath your skin. I'd give this a 6 out of 10. A subtle, disturbing experience. Watch cautiously, doubts are your only protection. Next, witches stir shadows in the night. Number 8. Flee the Light 2021. Shadows, spells, and rural witches, folk horror with mystical flair.
It requires a sacrifice.
What kind of sacrifice?
An up-and-coming director combines folklore with subtle terror. The protagonist's encounter with witches and rural magic is tense, though the horror leans artistic rather than visceral. Forests, sigils, and whispered chants create a dreamlike dread, folk horror told with visual elegance. The pacing allows the fear to simmer, while the story explores mysticism and rural superstition. I'd cautiously rate it 5 out of 10. Worth a watch if imagery excites you more than heart-pounding scares. Even so, shadows whisper hints of horrors beyond the frame. Next, a blood moon brings cultish chaos. Number 9. The Severed Sunday 2025. Blood Moon Rises, Cult Awakens, Modern Folk Horror in Motion. Trailer glimpses suggest high-potential folk horror. Director X introduces characters entangled in lunar rituals and pagan worship. Fear, faith, and sacrifice converge. The visual intensity is striking. Tension palpable. Potential terror is extreme, though audience reactions are pending. Early impressions hint at a formidable horror experience. My provisional rating, 7 out of 10. A modern folk horror that may rival classics. Watch closely, shadows may already be following you. Next, vengeance wears claws. Number 10. Pumpkinhead 1988. Revenge takes monstrous form, folklore comes alive. Stan Winston brings folklore to life through Lance Henriksen's encounter with a vengeance demon. Small-town grief and folklore combine, as the creature punishes those responsible. Practical effects and gruesome scenes are mesmerizing. Horror feels both moral and monstrous. The demon's presence is relentless, it claws through the narrative, leaving lasting dread. I'd rate it 6.5 out of 10. A folk horror blending vengeance and myth. Watch when the night feels alive, and remember, revenge may already be hunting you. So that's it. 10 tales from folk horror, rituals, forests, cults, and cursed villages. Viral Vault has guided you through shadows and superstitions, each lingering differently. Which one will follow you into your dreams tonight? Tell me in the comments if your hands aren't still shaking. This is Viral Vault signing off, but the shadows aren't done with you.